Hello everyone and welcome to Geek Academy channel. I'm your detective host Igor, and today we are going to talk about Silo Season 1. If you are new to the channel, shortly about myself: I watch movies, TV shows, I play video games, and when I say I watch movies and TV shows, I mean I watch them. So you're gonna probably discover this in this video. What we're gonna do today is we are going to recap all of the events from season 1. I'm going to explain everything that happened in season 1, and we're also gonna raise every possible interesting question from season 1, so we will be aware before season 2. Now, once again, I have to say something very important to me. This is not a replacement of watching the first season. I strongly advise you to go to the Apple TV and check the TV show by yourself, because this watching experience is not going to be replaced by anything else. But if you want to just to recap everything that happened just a year ago when we watched season 1, this is a video for you, and I promise you I'm not gonna miss any little detail. So before we begin, as usual, I want to thank everyone who supports me on Patreon. Your donations, your support is what makes this channel possible. So let's dive in. I want to divide this video into two parts. I want to start from the lore, from understanding the setting where everything happens, and then we're gonna go through the story. So we're talking about some kind of a post-apocalyptic universe. Something really terrible happened on Earth. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a nuclear war, maybe it was some kind of a virus, maybe it was the 25th season of the Kardashians. We don't know, but something forced people to go to live underground in those big, really huge silos where almost 10,000 people can live simultaneously together, grow resources, produce, they have energy, they have generators. They basically created a small society. So right from the bat we have already two main questions, like what really happened there? What forced people to go to live in the silo? Who built those silos? We don't know why and for what. We still didn't get any answers for those questions, and now you can see them on the screen, and this is what's gonna happen during this video. Every time I'm gonna raise a question, you're gonna see it on the screen, and we're gonna add them to the list of the main questions that need to be answered in the next seasons. So just like we have, the counting of years in our world, BC, AC, and so on, the Silo also have their determining event where the count begins. It happened 140 years ago, and there was a rebellion by people who wanted to go outside to the world. They wanted to leave the Silo, but the rebellion was crushed. Though they were able to delete all of the history, the evil rebellion was able to delete all of the recorded history of the Silo. Or at least the managing party that runs the silo right now, this is what it tells to their citizens. And of course, after the rebellion was crushed, now they have like prosperity, freedom, and so on and so on and so on, like Doritos for everybody, free porn, like enjoy whatever you want. I'm kidding, of course, obviously, but there's still something that's called relics. This is basically artifacts that you can find and even trade them in the black market in the silo, and this was basically something that we as viewers can easily recognize, because this is like something that we know from our world, though it's considered illegal in the silo. So another question we're gonna have to add right now is what really happened during the rebellion. The TV show really heavily implies that the history is being told by the victors, and probably something completely different happened during the rebellion, and probably they actually were the good guys. So there are 10,000 people that live in the silo, and every time they go to eat, in their dining rooms they have like big huge screens that show them exactly what happens outside, a wasteland, everybody dies, you cannot live out there. So this is basically something to scare them off, so they will never want to go outside. But there is also unbreakable rule, an unbreakable law. If somebody says they want to go outside, they have to go outside. So hardcore criminals and people that want to go outside, they are being sent to clean. The reason it's called that way, because when they go out, they are given a piece of cloth, something they can use in order to wipe the dust and the dirt from the camera that's doing the live transmission from from the outside, and most of them choose to do so. But what are the reasons for that, we don't know yet, but this is why it's called to be sent to clean. So there are another two very stupid rules that are very important in the silo, and you cannot break them because very important. One of them being you cannot build anything that helps people to travel from like lower levels to upper levels with some kind of a machinery, so no elevators. And another thing, no strong magnifying glass. Like you can have like a small one, tiny one, but if you build some kind of like double lenses or something like this is completely illegal. So Once again, another question, what's wrong with those stupid laws, because they clearly will improve the life of everyone out there. I don't know if this is the way to fight obesity, you know, like you have to run up and down all the time in the silo, but once again, you know, magnifying glass, what did it do to you? You want to protect the ants from, you know, from the mean kid with the magnifying glass, but once again, there's no sun, so don't worry about the ants. Once again, another question, we still don't get an answer, and I hope we're gonna get it in season 2. So obviously in the silo there is a governmental structure. There's a mayor, you know, like who is being elected democratically. There are different branches like the machinery on the lower levels. There's an IT department that decides how to transfer the energy that's being produced by the generators. There's an agriculture level, there's a medicine level. So there are the sheriff office, the judiciary that's basically controlling the set of rules that we just talked about, and there are also porters that run from every level. They're transferring messages and deliver packages, and probably the most fit people in the universe. And there are also janitors, but we're gonna talk about them a little bit later. So obviously Silo has a limited amount of space, a finite amount of resources. Yeah, they're growing their own food, but still they have just enough space to have enough crops for 10,000 people. So there has to be some kind of a population control. What happens there is basically you get a sanctioned relationship. So if you meet a girl, you meet a guy, you request to get your relationship sanctioned, and then at some point you can request the permission to get pregnant. Then if you are actually being given that permission, you have 1 year, 365 days to get pregnant. If not, tough luck, maybe next time. And this is where actually our story begins. Well, you know how it works. He was a boy sheriff, she was a girl, an IT expert. Can I make it any more obvious? But for some reason they cannot get pregnant, but they get a permission for their third and the last time, so this is their last chance to get pregnant. Time passes for them, they trying, but something doesn't really work. At some point Ellison is being approached by the local crazy lady. Her name is Gloria Hildebrand, and she is basically helping women to get pregnant with traditional medicine, you know, with the woogie woogie stuff. So folic acid in this place is traditional medicine that's been considered like, you know, hoodoo voodoo magic. At some point Gloria tells Ellison that they will never let her become pregnant because she's one of the free thinkers. You see, at some point Ellison writes an article in her IT department, and the article is called How to Restore Deleted Files. And after just a couple of hours, she's being forced by the head of this department named Bernard to delete this article. But just like in our universe, if you put something online, it can never be deleted. And this is where we meet George Wilkins. He's a programmer who lives in the middle levels, and he saw the article that was written by Ellison, he printed it before it was deleted, and he found a reason to actually summon her to help him with the computers. But this is not really actually what he wanted. He wanted her to help him to recover the files on the hard drive that he got from his ex-girlfriend, who was madly in love with him, that got from a really certain you know, like a very talented ginger hacker, that's basically a rock hacker in this place. So now he has this hard drive, and what's interesting about it, it has a number 18, but doesn't have any serial numbers, and all of the hard drives that right now are being operated in their silo, they have their serial number. So it means that this hard drive was probably from before the silo. Not even before the rebellion, but before the silo. You see, George is fascinated with the big questions. He wants to know what's out there, what happened, like what is the big world outside, and how we all became to live in the silo, blah 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 blah. So, you know, Ellison at this point already kind of suspicious that, you know, the ruling elite is not gonna allow her to get pregnant. She's a little bit angry, and she actually helps George to hack this drive, and together they discover that first of all, in the lowest level of their silo there is a tunnel corridor that leads somewhere, and also they're watching a video of a woman who was sent to clean, and they're basically seeing that the world outside is beautiful, so much greenery, so much beautiful butterflies, etc, etc, etc. So the screen shows lies, you know, in the dining room it's not really a post-apocalyptic wasteland outside, it's basically, you know, like beautiful rainbows, unicorns etc, etc, etc. So one thing we can already say with the certain amount of certainty, whatever happened that drove people in the silo, it happened before YouTube, before the social media, because if it would happen, during our time, this video would be called like, you're not gonna believe what this person that was sent to clean actually saw. This video will blow your mind. She goes to clean and discovers the amazing truth. But it's just called like in a boring way, like, whatever her name was, cleaning file. So yeah, in this universe, whatever event happened, it happened before the social media. So right now, Allison, who is already 100% convinced that she's been lied to all her life, goes to some drastic measures. She cuts her own body and discovers that the birth implant, the birth protection implant that was supposedly removed from her body for her to be able to get pregnant, was still there. So she cut it by herself and showed it to her husband. And after that, we can experience one of the biggest gaslighting sessions I have ever seen in my life. Everybody treated her like she's completely insane. Obviously, she was a little bit nervous, discovering she's been lied to all her life, and she didn't really ever had a chance to get pregnant. Once again, because she's one of the free thinkers, she was just given the chance to shut her up so she will not complain, but those are the reasons you cannot get pregnant, that's all. So obviously she's angry, but I can maybe somehow understand people around her, but her own husband completely ignoring the fact that, look honey, there is a birth control that was inside of my body, I cut myself open to show it to you, so you will be on my side, because as a policeman you will need some proof. And he's like, you need to calm down, please calm down. That made me very, very, very angry. First of all, you have to trust your spouse, but especially if she cut herself open and showed you the proof that people are lying to you. Anyway, we're gonna have to move forward. So Allison decides to go out. She wants to go out and clean. Angry sheriff with his best friend Deputy Mars, they go to investigate Gloria Hildebrand and George Wilkins, because they were the only two unusual contacts in the last year in Allison's history. Like, they were the suspects here. But those investigations and those questioning didn't bring anything. George said he doesn't know anything. Also, Gloria said the same thing, and there were no proof to show that they somehow forced Allison to do so. Anyway, Allison, when she talked to the sheriff, she said to him like, we've been lied to, and I'm gonna send you a sign. If when I go out, I'm the one who's right and it's actually green and beautiful, blah blah blah, I'm gonna clean. And you will know that I was right. But if not, and I was wrong, and I did this is the worst mistake of my life, I'm leaving the person I love and I'm just going to die, I'm not gonna clean. Now, important detail, every time somebody goes out to clean, they are dressing, like this protective suit, and when they are going out in the main chamber, some kind of air, gas-like air is being released onto them, supposedly to clean the air, to disinfect or something like this. Remember this? Note it? Okay, moving on. So Allison goes out, she cleans, sending a signal to her husband that she was right, but still, when she went out, she stumbled on something, and a couple of seconds later, you can see her body falling down and she's basically dead. 3 years later, still mourning, Sheriff Holston with his friend Deputy Mars are being sent to investigate the suicide of George Wilkins. Yeah, the same George Wilkins who we remember, the IT guy, the programmer guy. And the only person who doesn't believe in his suicide is someone called Juliet Nichols. You see, Juliet and George had an unsanctioned relationship. She was in love with him, and she cannot believe that he actually killed himself. You see, we're gonna have to rewind a little bit to go through Juliet's history. When she was small, her mother was one of the three thinkers. She was an inventor, and because her youngest child was born with a hole in his heart, she spent her life trying to, invent something that will help her to cure him and prevent future diseases for other people. So she built something like a magnifying glass that allowed her to perform surgery on a rabbit that they found, and basically, cure the rabbit with the same problem that the kid had, even though it happened already after the kid died. But you remember the pact, right? The rule: you are not allowed to build some sort of a magnifying glass, the strong one. So somehow the judiciary system and its goons found out that, Juliet's mom, Hannah, built this kind of a thing that helps you to do surgeries, and they went inside, they terrorized them, they throw their whole house upside down until Hannah gave up actually, this thingy. And she actually blamed her husband, the pediatrician, who was a more law-abiding citizen. He was more of, like, let's follow the rules. So she was 100% sure that he was the one to go to the judiciary and tell them about this invention. Juliet, losing almost in 1 year her younger brother and her mom. It's been said like she committed suicide, even though we're gonna discover that in this place people are being helped a lot to commit suicide, so we still don't know if she really did commit suicide here. Anyway, like right now we're gonna consider that she did. So Juliet heartbroken, and she's also blaming her father for the death of her mom. When she's 13, she escapes to the lowest levels, and she's been sort of adopted by the local hermit woman who's never leaving her room already for 20 years, but she's kind of a genius. And Juliet discovers that she has like a lot of talent in the whole like machine building, fixing process. She really helps with the generator, and through time she gets a permission from her father to stay there because he wants her to be happy or something like this. Anyway, she stays, she's growing up, she's becoming more and more proficient in the generator thing. At some point she's like becoming the top, like expert in everything generator wise, and this is where she meets George Wilkins. Now, George, if you remember, he just wanted to go to the lowest level. He discovered with Ellison that there's some kind of a corridor tunnel out there, and he needed someone to take him there. So he starts a relationship with Juliet, and it takes time, it progresses, like she falls in love with him, and she shows him, the lowest level, how you can actually find them, and this is where he starts his research. Now, another important thing that happens during Juliet's time in the machinery department, one time she stole from the IT department an H57 duct tape, which supposedly is the worst one. Like in machinery you have a better one, but Juliet needed it just for something, and the head of the department, Bernard, still remembers her. It's very important to him that she stole this duct tape. He considered her a thief, like a criminal because of that, even though it was like a minor disobedience or something like this. Anyway, going back to George and Juliet, they're madly in love, and during one of the love-making sessions, Juliet is a bit tired of George and his big questions and like big discoveries, so he promises her like he's gonna tell her what he finds only post factum, only after he finds what he's been looking for years and years and years. So when George actually dies and she gets the news, she finds in her apartment a message he left for her, a note and a small relic, the artifact, like a small tiny yellow duck toy dispenser, no, candy toy dispenser, and a note that says, "I finally find something that I was looking for. I finally found it." After the sheriff comes to investigate a suicide, and they're very inclined to declare it as a suicide, she's taking Sheriff Holston to those, hiding spots where there's like a big, huge digging machine that was probably, dig the whole hole in the ground where people were able to build the silo, and she's showing him the note and says to him what kind of a person would send a note like that and then kill himself. He was looking for something all his life and he finally found it. He was super excited. This is not like a motive to kill yourself. Now in this place they actually find something similar to a camera. It looks like a video camera for us, the viewers, but like people in the silo don't really know what the hell is that. And they also find a bag with the hard drive with the number 18. They also find the article that was written by Ellison, how to recover the deleted files. And another thing I kind of forgot to tell you, while they were walking there, we can see a lot of different images and drawings on the walls. And this is another interesting question for me personally, who drew them? Maybe it's the people who went, started the rebellion 140 years ago, because we know that the rebellion started in the lowest level. So once again, another lore questions that I hope is going to be answered in next seasons. So the sheriff tells Juliet to not investigate, to give him time, and he's gonna send her a message. She's like, "You care about the truth, what's important is the truth, we're gonna care about the truth. And then he says to her, "I'm gonna send you a sign as soon as I'm gonna be ready, and you're gonna know that this is the sign, that something changed and I found something." And suddenly 3 months later he goes to clean. which is very suspicious, makes Juliet angry. He's like, he lied, he thinks he abandoned her, but he just goes there and he stumbles in an exact same place where Allison stumbled and also dies right next to her. Now, Deputy Mars is obviously devastated of the loss of one of his best friends, and he gets the note from the sheriff that he chose for his replacement to be Juliet Nichols, our main protagonist. But he doesn't really want to, he thinks he became crazy. Still, the mayor, who's, Deputy Barnes is madly in love with, she's saying to him like, we need to know who Holston wanted to replace him. And he talks about Juliet, because he cannot keep secrets from the person he loves, even though the judiciary already prepared a replacement, someone named Paul Billings. He's like, a Captain America type, he knows all the rules, he can, talk about the pact during his sleep, whatever. He's like, he's a do good, do everything in the right way kind of guy. So the judiciary wants their guy to be the new sheriff because they know they can kind of control him. But the mayor obviously has a lot of tensions with the judiciary system, especially with Judge Meadows, so she's inclined to check who the hell Juliet Nichols is, and she goes in the road trip, there's a road trip, walking trip to the lowest level through all of the silos so people will see her mayor, and she's going with the deputy. And one interesting thing that happens there, when they go down, she drinks from his bottle and he drinks for her bottle, because it's just way more convenient. Instead of pulling your bottle from the back, somebody turns and you take the bottle and you drink. It's way more convenient. So when she goes out, she sees people, she talks to Juliet's father in the middle levels, he's a pediatrician, so he takes care of the babies. When she reaches the lowest level, she talks to Hank, the deputy that is operating in the lowest levels, who is Juliet's friend, and he was the one to basically summon Sheriff Holston. And she's also talking to Martha Walker, the same, the hermit lady that's been living here for a long time and cannot leave the apartment because she's too afraid. Apparently there is some kind of history between her and the mayor. So mayor, after all of this conversation, convinced that Juliet can be a good sheriff, so she proposes her, but Juliet declines because she cannot leave the generator. She's the only one who can fix it. She's the generate whisperer. She can listen to it and understand where is the trouble, and she knows how to fix it. Even though there's some guy named Cooped who is her shadow and is supposed to replace it. Like in this place, somebody who's called Shadow, this is basically an apprentice. This is somebody who is basically following you, so you will be able to teach this person whatever you know, so one day this person will be able to replace you. So Juliet still doesn't think that Coop is ready, and she declines the offer. Anyway, the mayor still gives her the sheriff's badge, Sheriff Holston's badge, and Juliet changes her mind because she discovers the word truth engraved in the badge, and she understands that this is the signal that Sheriff Holston was talking about 3 months ago. And this is kind of his way saying to her, you need to do this in order to discover the truth about the man you loved, George Wilkins. So Juliet agrees, and she is ready to leave, this place to the hands of the leader of the whole machine department named Knox, her friend Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley.
Sorry, Shirley, her Shadow Coop, if she will be allowed to fix the generator, because there is a trouble that happened 30 years ago. We don't know what happened, but it's also an interesting question. Another question, we know that there was steam coming from under. I don't know if it's just from the warmth of the earth, or is it something more than that. Anyway, we're gonna have to wait and see. And she gets this permission from the mayor. The generator will be turned off for a couple of hours. They will work on, a subsidiary generator, a secondary one, and they will try to fix it. So after the intense scene, very interesting, very action-driven scene, they're being able to fix the generator, and Juliet can now become a sheriff and go to the upper levels. So 2 interesting questions from all of this sequence. First of all, what connects Martha to the mayor? Maybe we'll discover, maybe not. And the other thing, when they're turning off the generator, in every dining room, most of the people that were there were able to see that for 1 second only, they could have seen the green grass, the trees, the birds flying, and this utopian, heavenly-like image. So some people starts to get a little bit upset and feel a little bit nervous. You know, people are dying, you're seeing that there's something beautiful outside, maybe you've been lied to. There is some kind of an unrest in Silo population. So as I told you, Juliet leaves the camera with her old coward lady. She's not that coward, but she's kind of cowardly in the beginning of the show, in order for her to fix it and try to understand what the hell is going on, but she cannot do it without those magical magnifying lenses that were created by her mom. And when she arrives actually to the upper levels, one of the people that would probably be a big support for her, the mayor, dies. Obviously, Deputy Barnes suspects that was somebody who wanted to kill him, because he was drinking from her bottle and she was drinking from his bottle. So for Juliet, there is only one reason to be sheriff. She wants to understand what happened to the man she loved. She sees a note from Sheriff Holston to double the flower next to the mirror. This is a sign for future things to come. And she also finds in the ventilation room, in the ventilation section, the file of George Wilkins, but she knows everything about him. She still understands like George Wilkins and Gloria Hildebrand were actually questioned during the time that Ellison went out to clean. So she knows there was some kind of a connection between her boyfriend and this Gloria Hildebrand. Anyway, she tries to recruit the deputy, so they will have they have the same goal. She will help him to understand who tried to kill the mayor if he helps her to understand who killed George, her boyfriend. They go to question some guy named Patrick Kennedy. He's like a low-life, you know, a criminal kind of guy. He was the one selling relics, but they actually went to check on him in his old place where he doesn't live anymore. Like this is a place where just his ex-wife used to live or something like this. So obviously Deputy Mars is trying to understand that people who hold the grudge, if they were the one to try to kill him. So not a short time passes, but right after Deputy Mars talked to Sims, he's like the head of the goons of the Judiciary Department, and he tells him that he's probably gonna like stay off the back for Juliet because like they have a pact already, they're gonna help each other, and maybe Paul Billings is gonna be like, you know, somewhere in the... he's gonna wait a little bit for his turn. Shortly after, Deputy is being attacked and killed by somebody. We don't know who. Ooh, very big mystery here. So it's a sad day in the silo, and I told you the unrest grows even bigger. Now the deputy is killed, mayor is killed, sheriff goes to clean. Like, what the hell is going on? Some green thing is on the screen. Weird, weird, weird. So there is a new mayor right now, the same Bernard guy that was very angry at Juliet for stealing the H57 tape, the one who told Ellison to delete her post about how to recover the deleted files. He is the replacement for the mayor. He's not officially mayor who's been chosen by the people, but he is the one who's like doing the job right now. So they tell the story that the deputy and the mayor were in love and they like died together, blah blah blah. So they need a distraction, and they start something that's called Race to the Top. This is like a sports event in this place, like who's gonna be the first to run from the lowest level to the upper levels. Juliet knows that this is very suspicious. She knows the judiciary wants her out, and they are pretty much willing to do a lot to get what they want. So she goes to Patrick Kennedy's house, the one where he doesn't live anymore. She breaks in and she finds his drawing, you know, Deputy Mars's drawing, and she finds a poison. So she understands the judiciary wants to like put all of the evidence on Patrick Kennedy. They want to set him up. So she actually sets up the judiciary. Like, she is basically saying, yeah, this is Patrick Kennedy, blah blah blah. And as soon as this guy arrives, whatever his name, the NPC character, they have like a chase scene and he's able to escape, and then we can see conversation between him and Sims. As we know, like the head of the judiciary system, like obviously he's not the main guy, he's Judge Meadows is the one to run the judiciary, but we can see conversation between this NPC and Sims tell him a story about his father who used to be a janitor and had some kind of an unexplained power in this place. He was able to send away Sims's bully from high school, whatever, from like kindergarten, that was bullying him when he was young. And you know, like nobody even looks at the janitors. That's like the lowest class of citizen. Nobody takes them seriously, but certainly they're very much powerful in this place. So we discover that this NPC, I don't really want to remember his name. Fuck him, he's an NPC, he's not interesting. He's been sent to cosplay R. Kelly's song.
Lord Aragorn, where is he?
He fell.
but we discover that he was the one to kill George Wilkins. Like, he took care of George Wilkins' problem. So at this point, if we still didn't understand it from all of the hints, we kind of know already that Sim's not one of the good guys. But the good thing, you can pin everything right now on Doug. This is his name, I just checked it, whatever. And like, he killed the mayor, he killed the deputy, he killed everybody who was ever killed in this place, it was Doug. Another day, another duck. So Jules understands that investigation is over and she needs a reason to actually keep digging because she wants to understand who really killed her boyfriend. She talks to the old lady, they like understand that they need some kind of a setup, so she breaks into Doug's home and she plants the relic, you know, the yellow ducky relic, she plants it there. So when people are actually, like, her sheriff's department actually searches the house, they are finding, you know, all of the proof that he was the one to kill everybody, and also the relic that connects him somehow to George, which allows Julia to reopen the case. And even when Sims checks this relic, he finds he has his own like archive library of files of all of the relics, and he understands that obviously Doug didn't have anything to do with the relic, he wasn't the one to hold it, so he knows that Juliet is not playing a fair game. Just like they are, but you know, they don't really care about it. So Juliet gets a permission from Judge Meadows, she's been allowed to investigate, and during this conversation you can actually see who's actually calling the shots, and it's obviously not Judge Meadows, it's Sims mostly, and she's allowed to investigate, but she needs to have Paul Billings next to her because they want to control basically what she'll be able to find. Anyway, Jules is not too much about control, so she goes to Patrick Kennedy, who is in her debt right now, so he gives her a name, like the only relic dealer name he's allowed to give before he's been called a rat and, you know, have some kind of a retribution from the criminal society in this place, is Regina Jackson. And Regina right away recognizes the watch that Juliet wears on her palm, on her hand, because this is the same watch she has given to George, and George has given it to Juliet as a symbol of love. So Juliet understands that she has been used by George. He was the one to use her. She was just a, you know, like an instrument for him to get some answers that bug him all the time. You know, like even in this moment, it kind of felt like she's really miserable. Like Regina, she really wanted to do everything she can to turn Juliet against him. And it kind of felt a little bit bitter, but still, you know, like if you see something that being given to you as a symbol of love and you understand that he got it from his previous ex-girlfriend, it's not a good thing. And Juliet really suspects that she was used. You know, she's kind of very pessimistic person. She's used to being betrayed by people. She's 100% sure she was betrayed by her father, so it's not really a big leap for her to jump right away to the conclusion that she was completely used by George. So Juliet wants to quit, like fuck this guy, like let him discover by himself who killed him, but she gets a motivational speech from her old cowardly lady friend, and she goes back and she confronts Regina. So she gives her, like Regina Filangi gives her a book that used to belong to George, and it's obviously a book from our time. It's called like Amazing Adventures in Georgia, so this is the United States of America territory. Big surprise once again. And like she can see that in this book there are three names: Gloria, Anne, and George. This is like the people who own this book. First of all, there was Gloria, then it was Anne, and then George was the one to have this book. So now Juliet remembers that the two people that were questioned during Allison's going out to clean process were Gloria Hildebrand and George Wilkins. So now she has a connection that she can follow up. And she also sees a seashell in the book. Like there's a lot of, like in the intro we can see like a seashell turns to the silo or silo turns to the seashell. Juliet also has a seashell tattoo, so seashell is important, but how? Another question for us, like what is the importance of the seashell? So Julia goes to see Gloria, but Gloria is a little bit cuckoo. She's been like given some crazy hallucinating medicine. She feels like she's somewhere on the beach, her family is next to her, even though she never had babies. Her husband left her because of that. So she's obviously a very tragic lady. She has a tragic history, and now those medicine kind of allow her to, have some kind of an escapism. And when Juliet tries to talk to her, she's completely doesn't understand what the hell is going on around her. She's like, they not gonna tell us. They took it away from us. She's mumbling. So Juliet understands that she needs to get a permission to get her off her medicine because she needs to talk to her. What is her connection to George? But she's not allowed to because Judge Meadows has a strict restriction not to stop giving those medicine to Gloria. So she needs to get this overruled, and she wants to go to the judge. But first of all, she's being called to the mayor. You see, there's a lot of trouble going around. Like, there's a lot of events trying to calm people. There was the race to the top. Now there's the forgiveness day. But still, people are more and more unrest. First of all, a lot of people are dying. Some weird things are happening. The new sheriff, we don't know the difference between a gun and a stapler, and what happens? People are afraid, people are losing control, people are losing, respect and belief in their government. So yeah, there's a lot of unrest. On the mayor calls to Juliet, and he's been an ally through this whole process. Every time Sims attacked her, he was there to protect her. And he tells her that Judge Meadows, the evil Judge Meadows, trying to do something to, overthrow him from his mayor throne. And he wants to do something about it, and he needs her help. But once again, Julia is focused. She wants to go straight to Gloria. She goes to Judge Meadows. She tries to, convince her to give her a permission, but she realizes that Judge Meadows is just a puppet, completely puppet that's been 100% controlled by Sims, maybe somebody else, wink wink, and she actually goes to her father for help. This is the only one she can ask for help because he is a doctor and she is in the medicine part of the silo, in the medical part of the silo, so he will be the one to help her. And he actually does. He's risking his own life because it's hard for him to see that his daughter blames him for everything when he didn't do anything basically, except of course of leaving her for her own at the age of 13. So her father helps her and Gloria comes to senses. She talks about the book. She's saying she was the one to give this book to Anne, and she's actually George's aunt, Gloria is George's aunt, and Anne was a friend of Juliet's mother. All of them, except of Juliet's mother, were something called Flame Keepers. Now it sounds like a rebellion, some sort of force, and Gloria doesn't look 140 years old, so it kind of begs the question, did really the rebellion happen 140 years ago? Or maybe after that? Anyway, while they talk, we can see that they're being observed by the janitors. You remember Sims was talking about his father, the janitor, and now we can see that the janitors are the only one who can enter those control rooms where there are video cameras in almost every corner of the silo. So they are watching everybody, and this is how they were able to know everything about Juliet's mother invention, about everything that happens in Juliet, everything. They know absolutely everything. And when Juliet notices the flowers, she connects this with the message that Holston left, double the flowers in the room, and she understands that the Holston also realized that they're being watched. So she covers the mirror, and Gloria tells her that Holston came to visit her and she did something with the ventilation system. So Julia checks it out and she finds finally the hard drive, the one with the number 18. So now Sims already understands how dangerous Juliet is and how much does she know. So he sent his goons to this medical department, her father didn't give her up, and basically Juliet spent the night there. And when she came back in the morning to sheriff's station, she saw all of the judiciary goons are throwing everything apart, looking for something. So she decides to fight back. She takes Paul with her to the judiciary department and she actually arrests Sims for unlawful search without a warrant, without anything. So she arrests him, and while Sims is sitting in jail, we can once again see how much people are afraid of him. They know how powerful he is. But she uses this time, Juliet, to actually search his office, Sims's office, and she finds her mom's file. And she finally understands that her father was not the one to rat them out. He wasn't the one to tell the judiciary about their invention. They were just able to see this through the cameras. They can see everything. So she understands that she held so much of a resentment towards her father, and he kind of didn't really deserve it. So yeah, nice moment for them. Now they are, like love each other together anymore. So now Jules understands how important and how dangerous the hard drive that she has in possession right now. She wants to go to Marta because she's like the genius one and she's the only one who will be able to break into the hard drive, but the roads are blocked already. People are searching. Whoever is gonna be found with the hard drive is gonna be arrested. She understands this, like there is no way around it. So she goes to Lucas, and I didn't tell you too much about Lucas because like there's not that much to tell. He kind of had a crush on Juliet. He's like sitting every night like watching the stars. He noticed like the patterns, that the stars are moving, sometimes disappearing, sometimes they're showing themselves. So he had a couple of moments with Juliet. He wanted to kiss her, he got cock-blocked, and that's it. But she knew he has feelings for her, so she went to him because he works in IT under Bernard, and she asked for his help. She like tried to convince him. She showed him that there are cameras, that they're following everybody, they're watching everybody, but he still didn't want to help her. He didn't do anything because he has his mom and he needs to take care of her. Okay, but he also didn't rat her out, he didn't call judiciary, he just left. So the only way for Juliet to reach the lowest levels is try to force herself through. Like she's the sheriff, she's not gonna be searched, she's like you're gonna do what I tell you to do. But obviously, like judiciary goons don't really impressed by that until the mayor Bernard arrives, and he's been in LA up till this moment. So he wants to help Juliet. He tells like the goons to leave her, to back off. They're going together to the agricultural levels, to the field, because they are conspirators together. He told her about the Judge Meadows and blah blah blah. So he tries to understand about what happens, and he asks her about the hard drive. And even before Juliet realizes that this is a tell, he's by himself like, oops, I shouldn't have told that. Oh, silly me. So we understand at this moment, even though like everybody with eyes could have seen this coming from miles away, he was such a good guy up till this moment. Obviously there was something wrong with him. So he's the bad guy, he's like the main bad guy. Sims is even working for him. Actually, Sims's main goal is to become his shadow, to replace him. Like we know about through his family that from Sims's wife, this is like their main goal. And this is also not a question we have to ask ourselves, because it's presented like Sims have some kind of ulterior motives here. He's not just there to replace Bernard, he wants to get in power because he wants to achieve something. Maybe he's like not that such a bad guy like he's been presented to us. We're gonna have to wait and see. Anyway, Juliet is being taken into custody, but that's not enough. Like everybody around them, even the smallest goons, like those small Nazi soldiers that were just following orders, they all say that Juliet asked to go outside, even though she didn't. They just basically want to get rid of her. They wanted to send her to clean, so she will die and this problem will be resolved. But another interesting thing here is Juliet noticed a while ago that Paul Billings, the good guy, and he's actually a good guy, he's one of the good guys, he wants to help, he wants to protect the law, he's not just a puppet for the judiciary, but he has a condition. Like in this place, a lot of people have some kind of a condition, a medical condition, similar maybe to Parkinson. They have like some kind of a tremors in their hands. So he's being in the position of power, especially as someone who gets a permission to bear arms, and having this kind of condition is a bit dangerous. Julian didn't really give a shit about it, but she like told him like, you're not gonna be on my back because of anything, because like I know your secret, and that's it. So when he was actually walking her, Billings was the one holding Juliet, she noticed that his hand is shaking again, so she used this moment to escape and become a fugitive. So the mayor and Sims discuss how they will be able to find and catch Juliet, and while they talk about it, we can see that the mayor has some kind of a key with an 18 number on it. So you see there's obviously some kind of a connection, and even after that they realize that there's some kind of a connection between Lucas and Juliet. They call Lucas and he tells them that he saw the hard drive, he didn't see any serial number, the only thing he has been able to see is the number 18. And as soon as Mayor Bernard understands this, he knows like this is a big trouble, because we can understand there is some kind of connection between the key, the hard drive. He's obviously knows exactly what is this drive. He's the one to keep secrets in this place. He knows way more about this place than anybody else. Like, he's the guy holding all the keys, metaphorically and not metaphorically. So in order to finish Lucas's line a bit faster, he's been sent to the mines as a punishment because he didn't do anything. Like, he was also one of the three thinkers. I think we're gonna see him again. Like, there's a lot of unrest in this place. People are angry. There's probably gonna be some kind of an uprising in season 2. And I think a guy who was sent to the mines because he just didn't told the, you know, like the police and the judiciary system about the woman he kind of fell in love with, being sent to the mines. I probably think he's gonna have some kind of a grudge against the mayor and the system. Anyway, like moving forward, Juliet breaks into the Sims house and she takes his wife and his kid as a hostage. She doesn't really want to take them as a hostage. She tells them like, I'm not gonna hurt you, I just need to use your computer. So she uses their computer until Sims's wife was able to rescue herself, but she still gives Juliet an opportunity to escape because she doesn't want, you know, like judiciary goons, the raiders, how they're called, to force themselves into their house, because she was one of them. She knows exactly how they operate. She knows it's not gonna be pleasant, and this is not something she wants her child to witness. So she gives Juliet an opportunity to escape. She tells her like, as soon as you plugged in this hard drive, they knew exactly where you are. So there are a lot of people running right now, and this is actually it. Like, as soon as Sims understood that she's in his place, he obviously went insane because he really loves his family. So Juliet escapes and she runs to Patrick Kennedy, the same guy from before, you know, with the amazing sentence, who the f did I kill this time? Absolutely gorgeous. And she helps her by introducing her to this rogue hacker who was actually the one to sell the hard drive to Regina, and then she brought it to George. But now they have the notes from Ellison, and now they can break into this hard drive and they know exactly what to do. So they see the files and they see a message from George, and it's being written like start here, and they see a message and George comes clean. He tells to Juliet that he was using her in the beginning, but then something unexpected happened and he actually fell in love. Okay, and he's gonna actually prove that a little bit later. And he also tell them like, watch the Jane Carmody cleaning file, and this is exactly the file that he has seen with Ellison, with like the green trees, birds and shit, etc. And they understand it, so but still they need to escape because the hacker was doing everything he could for, you know, for the janitors not to discover the location. But Bernard is there and he's like the best, so they were able to understand where they are. So they escape through the trash chute and they transmit for a couple of seconds this Jane Carmody cleaning file, so everybody could have seen like the green grass, the blue skies, the birds, the flying, blah blah blah. What is interesting though, in this file the birds are flying in one direction, and you should remember how they're flying because this is important. Anyway, Juliet tries to escape, but eventually she's being captured. The hard drive is being destroyed and she's being offered to actually like surrender, and nobody from the lowest level or any of her friends is gonna be punished, even though Lucas has been sent to the mines. But she takes the offer, but she also asks to tell her what happened to George. This is what started it all. She just wanted to get the answers about a person she loved. And we can see that the unrest is beginning stronger and stronger. There's obviously some kind of a rift in the society. The machinery guys and girls, you know, like Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley.
Sorry, Shirley, she wants like to do something about it. She doesn't really know what, but she wants to do something about it. And Knox, he was the one to call for the judiciary here because he understood if they're gonna like hide a fugitive, all of them are gonna be punished. So like Bernard gives Juliet an offer. He takes her offer. He says like, I'm not gonna just tell you what happened to George, I'm gonna show you. So he takes her to the janitor's room. She sees all the cameras. She understands she didn't have any chance at all. Like, everything is monitored, you can see everything. So they show her the recording of George, how he actually sacrificed himself. He actually killed himself. He wasn't killed by Doug. He knew that he's been like escorted to a place where he's gonna be tortured, and he's gonna have to give up all the names of the people that helped him, and one of the names is Juliet. So he chose to kill himself, to give his own life just to save her, if this is not like a proof of love, I don't know what it is. Obviously Juliet going through a very strong emotional elevator here. First she thought she just been used by a person she really loved, and then she understand that he actually loved her back. Like, I can probably assume she's experiencing very strong emotions right now. So while Juliet waiting for the judgment day when she's gonna be sent to clean, Walker finally conquers her fear out of love to Juliet. She goes outside and she goes to her ex-wife, a lady that's being responsible for the supply. They talking about the H57 duct tape. Why is it so important? Because it doesn't sound important at all unless it is. You remember we talk about like the gas, you know, like the kind of air thingy that basically is being sent in the chamber towards the costumes every time somebody goes out. Probably it's something that has some kind of a poison, and this duct tape that IT department uses, the department that Bernard is running, is using this duct tape because this is the one that basically allows this gas to go inside the costume, the protective costume, and kill the person a couple of minutes later. But you know, like Walker sends the message with food to Juliet. She says to her everything's gonna be okay because the supply is good, so you need to be like sure in yourself, blah blah blah. So when Juliet talks to Bernard, he tells her like she's going to clean. She tells him like, nah, no way bitch, I'm not gonna clean for you, you can go and kiss my ass. And he says like, you're going to clean because like our founding fathers in their wisdom, they knew that everybody's going to clean. So when she goes outside, she sees, yeah, it was all true, the green grass, the trees, the birds, oh fuck, the birds, they're flying the same exact way, just like they did in the recording. Coincidence? Probably not. So she understands that their costume, the costume that she's like wearing right now, projects to the glass a vision, like a hologram. What for? My best idea is basically, like Bernard said, like the reason why it's there because the founding fathers wanted people to go to the camera and clean, so everybody will see that it's actually, you know, like green outside. I think it's not my opinion. I think maybe somebody said it during this TV show and I kind of took it as my opinion. I think maybe Juliet said it. Anyway, moving forward, she's like stumbles in the same place where Sheriff Holston stumbled, where Allison stumbled. Poor those two, like they died for the better cause, but you know, shame, really shame, they were kind of nice people. Anyway, she understands like what she sees, once again, it's not what actually is there. So she's like, you know, trying to touch everything. She uses Sheriff Holston's badge to understand where are the grounds actually, where there are stones. So she kind of maps everything that happens around there. And she doesn't die because the duct tape, the new duct tape, probably protected her body. Everybody's watching. Juliet didn't clean. It was a big middle finger to Bernard and everybody else, and Bernard understands that something is wrong. He runs towards the server room, he uses the 18 key, he opens it up and he screams, she knows. Who he screams it to? Another question for season 2, like who was he talking to? He was like, you know, telling somebody who's probably his boss or somebody he's on his level, but he doesn't strike me as a big mastermind. He is like he's still an idealist, so he's probably being controlled by somebody else, something we're gonna have to wait and see in season 2. So when Juliet goes out, she sees suddenly there's a lot of silos. Okay, probably somebody counted like 40 something, 50 of them, something like this. I didn't count, but I'm gonna trust your word on it. We can see some kind of city in the distance. It's completely obliterated, so there's not a virus. Probably it was some kind of a nuclear war or something like this, and this is the end of the TV show. So yeah, the number 18 is probably somehow related to the number of the silo. Maybe there's like enough silos, and this is just silo number 18. Another interesting thing here that I kind of forgot to mention, George, when he spoke to Juliet through the recording, he told her like, don't worry about the water on the lower levels, like there is like big 5 foot, like the thing that he actually discovered that he was excited, so excited about to talk to Juliet, when he was killed, when he was basically forced to kill himself, it was a big 5-foot tall door, metal door, and you don't have to worry about the water. Because Juliet wanted to go there and check it out, like what happened there with her husband, with her like boyfriend, whatever, and she was scared of the water because obviously nobody can swim in this place. And he says to her like it's not a problem, probably because the water is not that deep. It just looked deep because it's dark there in this place. We have a lot of questions for season 2, and I hope I was able to cover most of them, or maybe even all of them for you. And I'm more than excited for November 14th for the first episode. We're gonna cover all of the show together. We're gonna watch it, like watch it with a magnifying glass that fortunately for us is very much available and legal in our place. And I'm gonna do videos every week and we're gonna have a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to support it any way it's convenient to you. If you don't want to do anything right now, watching this video until this moment is already a huge support. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!